Hi, I'm Tom, and this is Adult Game Reviews. This week I take a look at another completed VN. I know, right? And that game is Follow the Leader by Superwriter. I bought it off of Steam, and it's available on Windows, Mac, Linux, and Steam OS. So I have a mixed history with Superwriter games. I enjoyed Secret Summer. While not groundbreaking, it was solid. The second VN I played was Sunbreed, which I thought was a mess. From consistent reuse of renders, rushed story, no character development, and no real choices. Sunbreed was one of the few overall on the channel that I recommended everyone pass on. So, which category does Follow the Leader fall into?
Seriously, please be good.
Let's find out. First, if you like the video, please like it and subscribe if you aren't. Okay, back to Follow the Leader. Welcome to the futuristic dystopian society where the incredibly rich and powerful barons rule with impunity. You are an indentured servant who is one day away from earning your freedom when you catch the baron trying to kill 3 of his new lab-created wives. You couldn't just stand back and watch him kill these 3 women, even if they are clones.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was pretty stupid.
The rest of the story is you trying to escape the clutches of the Baron while getting to know the 3 women you sacrificed your freedom for.
Oh, Dentist Fortuna, fucking you, vat. Jesus.
Let's kick it off with the audio. The audio was pretty basic. There's music, but no sound effects or voice acting. The music is passable, but I do feel like a bit more in terms of sound effects would have added quite a lot to the world. The visuals are a mixed bag. The character models are pretty good. You can see the girls' faces, which are decent. It reminds me a lot of Alive. The visuals aren't going to win any awards, but they're okay. The biggest issue I had was the same issue I had with previous Superwriter games. Backgrounds felt very minimal. I will give an example. This is an image of the characters on a road. There's no one anywhere. The world felt dead, like you were the only ones in it. As an example, all the roads looked like they were freshly asphalted. This pulled me a bit out of the story because the world didn't feel real. It felt like you were in a simulation.
Everyone's gone.
Also, the same renders were reused multiple times.
A few moments later.
The reuse of renders really bothered me in Sunbreed. It didn't really bother me as much here, and it took a little bit for me to understand why. The reuse of renders wasn't terribly obvious here. It felt like it was right on that edge of happening too often, but it didn't quite cross that line into excessive. So, some good and some bad when it comes to the visuals. Moving on to the story. The story itself was decent. It started very well. I was streaming Follow the Leader on Picardo, and I was really impressed with the pacing and intensity of the story.
Not bad, not bad.
You truly feel the pressure and danger for helping the girls. You're imprisoned and the girls and you have to find a way to escape. It was this intro that got me hooked and I really wanted to play more. However, if you escape, the pacing shifts considerably. You spend most of the game focusing on character development, which was in general a good thing. I was very happy to see myself connecting to the characters much more than in previous Superwriter VNs. However, another issue I had was that after the exciting intro, it feels like you never quite get that level of excitement back. There are some scenes here and there where there's some action, but it feels a bit rushed. This brings up the next issue that I had with Follow the Leader, and at no point after the intro did I feel like anyone was in real danger. I think it was because the world felt dead, which, just as an aside, I think I know why.
What's happening?
The Rapture. Turns out there is a god.
It was hard for me to connect with this fantasy world, so the decisions they made, while interesting, I wasn't terribly invested in. This brings me to the story. The writing was solid. I didn't notice many typos and the dialogue was pretty good. While the story was fairly predictable, the lack of real choice did become apparent. There was one choice I made where I actually got a game over screen. I thought this was an indication of what to expect, but no. Very few of the choices actually changed anything. I went back multiple times to see how the scenes changed based on your choices, and the vast majority of the time it may add one extra line of dialogue, but things ended up usually the same.
It's an easy fix, 1 line of dialogue. Thank God we invented the, whatever device.
The ending sequence had more choices in it, but again, it was mostly window dressing. This brings me to the spicy content. I was able to complete the whole story and unlock all the 9 gallery scenes in about 7 to 8 hours. The content was mostly vanilla, and it took a couple of hours to actually unlock the first scene. So most of the unlockable content is the latter part of the VN. This did actually make sense within the story, so no real complaints about the spicy content for me. So, what did I think? Follow the Leader was a mixed bag for me. The good character models, the good character development, and the predictable but enjoyable story I do think outweighed the dead feeling world, the lack of real choice, and the pacing issues. I think if you go into Follow the Leader with the expectations that this is closer to a kinetic novel than it is a choose your own adventure, this will help minimize that negative impact of the lack of choices. However, there is no world where I would suggest purchasing Follow the Leader for $15 or $14.99 on Steam. I will be completely honest, it's just not good enough for the short 7 to 8 hour runtime with all the cut corners and lack of attention to detail. So while I enjoyed the story mostly I would wait for a sale. I likely wouldn't pay more than 10 bucks for Follow the Leader. Maybe that's just me. If you played it, let me know how you felt about it down below. I want to thank all my backers on Patreon and Subscribestar. And if you haven't seen my review of Wildcats, you can check that out right here. Thanks again. Until next time.